right, we're continuing on with using the unit normal table. We're going to give another couple of examples here. So let's go with something that we've been talking about for a couple of chapters now. That we've said that if we look at a normal distribution and we go down one standard deviation and up one standard deviation, that this shaded section is approximately 70% of all the scores. And that's how we've been defining what common or average is compared to above average or below average. And so let's take that and refine it. We've been saying roughly or approximately 70%. Let's get a tighter handle on that. So I want to know what percentage, I could have said proportion, but what percentage of the normal distribution exists between the z's of -1 and +1. Well, if we look at what I've got sketched out here, how many pieces is the curve cut into, really? 1, 2, 3, dark or light shaded light, which tells us that we need column D, because this isn't about a tail or a body. It's about some stripe, some swath taken out of it somewhere. So remember though, column D tells us proportions between the mean and a z, not from a z to a z, but from the mean to a z. So the unit normal table for column D can tell us only one side or the other side at a time. It can't tell us both at once. So for these problems, typically we kind of have to take it in a couple of steps. So let's figure out from the table what proportion of the normal distribution exists between the mean and a z of +1. Well, you go to your z of +1. It's on page 534 at the top. And now you're going to slide your finger all the way over to column D for the proportion between the mean and a z. And you can see it says 0.3413. So what proportion of the scores in a normal distribution fall between the mean and a z of +1? 0.3413. But that's only half the picture. Now we need to fill in the details for the other side. Now this one happens to be mirror images. We've got a 1 and a 1. So really, what's that tell us? If it's mirror images, it's going to be exactly the same. But we could verify it. Again, it doesn't have negatives, so we go to the z, look at column D, and we're going to get the same answer. So each of those parts. So what do we want? We want to add the whole thing together. So if we add both of these things together, we get a proportion of 0.6826. The question, as I originally posed it, was what percentage of those scores (68.26%). Almost 70%, roughly 70%. And then the only thing really left for us to do would be to go the other way in the table. So again, with the D, that's really just like what we've already been doing. So instead of that, I think what I'm going to do is just make sure to highlight that these scores don't have to be symmetrical. So I could have asked for what proportion or percentage existed between a z of, we're going to extend this out, -2 and +1. The key here is just to remember to look up each side separately. So the z of 1, that remains the same, 0.3413. If we go to the other side, now we're going to go to a z of 2. So we find that on page 535, slide over to column D, and that's 0.4772. So now when we add those things together, what do we get? We get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 0.8185 or 81.85 as a percentage. There's really there's nothing too conceptually advanced about any of this. It's really about paying attention to those details. Really looking at what's the question asking, where am I looking for a z or am I looking for a proportion or percent, and am I on the left side or the right side? Because again, the book can't tell you. The tables can't tell you that. Only the problem can. So practice, practice, practice with those. So you will see, pardon me, a quiz for chapter 6 and 7 combined since they're short. And this information will also be on the exam, and you have to know how to do this for chapter 8. So make sure you really spend some time with this table and get kind of comfortable looking up some answers for that. Take a look at lab, but again, do lots of practice, lots of examples. All right, so now we will turn our attention in the next clip to chapter 7.